Hello, thanks for tuning in to Crash Course. In this episode, you will learn about anatomy and physiology in social work, specifically in the field of child welfare. So what is social work? And what's child welfare? Social work is work carried out by trained personnel with the aim of alleviating the conditions of those in need of help or welfare. Child welfare is a continuum of services designed to ensure that children are safe and that families have the necessary support to care for their children successfully. You'll be hearing from our special guest, Charles Greer.
Hello, my name is Charles Greer. I'm a professor of social work here at Concordia, Wisconsin. I am also the owner of Home for the Heart Incorporated, Site 1, 2, and 3 in Milwaukee. They are teen facilities for girls who are in the child welfare system who have been victims of abuse or neglect.
Did you take the course Anatomy and Physiology?
No, I have not ever taken those courses.
Charles didn't actually take a course in anatomy and physiology, but he wishes he did, and here's why you should too.
You know what? I think so. I think I would definitely want to know a little bit more about the body and how the body works inside and out. I think that would help a lot with definitely dealing in child welfare with physical abuse cases, which were a lot. With my 25 years of working in the child welfare system in Milwaukee County, physical abuse is probably the number one case that we dealt with. So knowing what to look for and what do things look like and how it affects the body would probably help if I would have took a couple of those courses.
How would you explain child welfare from a medical perspective?
From a medical perspective, child welfare, okay, I'll put it like this. Child welfare, I'm always talking from a maltreatment perspective in regards to child welfare. So medical neglect is real in child welfare system. And right now, there's a lot of talk about faith in medicine in the child welfare system. And there's a lot of big cases. I'm actually about to touch on this subject matter in my course in about 2 weeks. So in my experiences working in the child welfare system, I've had to obviously go to a lot of meetings at hospitals, many different hospitals, Children's Hospital definitely. And me not being the professional on the medical side, I learned a lot about, how the body functions and how abuse and say, for example, a child that has diabetes issues, how that directly can correlate to being a medical neglect case or just a neglect case, period, in regards to how the things that can happen to the body of a child that is not having his or her diabetes treatment addressed appropriately by their caretaker.
When asked how he would describe social welfare from a medical perspective, Charles focused on maltreatment. Medical neglect is real. Charles sees patients with many different things, such as abuse or maybe even diabetes, and it's important to understand the body so that they know when a neglect case may be taking place because needs are not being met.
Why do you think it's beneficial for a future social worker to learn about anatomy and physiology?
If I can go back many years ago when I first started in social work, I'm not going to say how long ago, but it was so while. I just had a birthday. So I think it's important that overall, if you want to be a good social worker in the child welfare system, I think it would be beneficial to overall really know the body inside and out. So you can know, like I said before, what to look for, maybe the cues or things that can possibly pop out and you want to investigate a little bit more.
How is this knowledge helpful in the field of child welfare?
I think it's helpful because it just gives you another tool to use in regards to the very tough job of being a social worker in the child welfare field. So you need to build up as many tools as possible. So knowing about the body inside and out would be hugely beneficial to any social worker that's going to work in the child welfare system.
How could not taking this course be detrimental to the social work field?
Well, I think possibly not taking the course maybe can possibly, you possibly could miss out on something that if you had that knowledge, maybe you would have known to look for. You know, nothing could feel worse than walking out of a house knowing that if you had a certain type of knowledge, you could have maybe helped a child or kept a child safe. So I think that's huge. I mean, all our children need to be safe. So any knowledge that we can build up to help us in that arena of keeping all children safe would be very beneficial.
In your work, have you collaborated with any healthcare professionals on the matter of anatomy and physiology?
Not on matters of anatomy and physiology specifically, but I've sat on boards at Children's Hospital with doctors and nurses in regards to medical issues overall. So I definitely see how the two definitely walk on the same bridge, and they're connected. So I've learned a lot in my experiences with many different hospitals. I've dealt a lot with the medical center downtown Milwaukee and the doctors there in regards to our children, and health overall is huge. And I love to be at those meetings to support kids and making sure they're safe physically and mentally. So that's where my experience lies. So dealing with medical professionals is definitely a huge part of the child welfare system.
The top areas of social work where having a knowledge of anatomy and physiology would be very useful.
First of all, supervisors, because supervisors are the leaders of the case managers and social workers, so they definitely would benefit as well from knowledge in those two areas. But I think family case managers, because they take the cases that come in, whether neglect or abuse, and they work throughout the history of the case with that family. They're in charge of that case, so they definitely would be one position that definitely can benefit from those areas of study. Also, intensive in-home services case managers, they're the ones that are in the home on a weekly basis working with those families that come in to the child welfare system. So they would also benefit from that knowledge as well. And lastly, one that I could think of is adoption workers, because you are trying to finalize permanency for children who have faced neglect or abuse. So definitely you want to know that this child is hopefully intact inside and out before the finalization of an adoption to a family is completed. So those are three that I can think of off the top that definitely could benefit from the subject matter.
Is it hard to keep up to date in your career with medical records?
Ever-changing is the key word in that question, and the child welfare system is definitely an ever-changing system. So even going into that profession, you need to be flexible and prepared to be comfortable with change all the time. So the best way that could benefit child welfare and child welfare social workers would be to bring in somebody that's really highly knowledgeable in that field. I do know that there is a medical liaison that works closely with the child welfare system on those two subject matters and other things in regards to the medical side when dealing with children and child welfare. So definitely bringing in, having those specific trainings, keeping us updated on what's new, what's working and what's not working would be a great benefit to the overall child welfare system. And it would help us meet the needs of children, keep them safe, which is number one, and hopefully keep families intact or put families back together, or just find the right permanency for children, because all children deserve permanent, a safe place to be.
So how does this all relate to vocation and service anyway? Well, the more knowledgeable you are, the more competent you will be in your field, and the better you will be able to help your clients, thus fulfilling your calling to the best of your ability. Today you learned about how social workers can benefit from taking anatomy and physiology, child welfare from a medical perspective, how not taking an anatomy and physiology course could be detrimental to a social worker, collaborating with healthcare professionals, top areas of social work in which knowledge of anatomy and physiology would be useful, how to stay up to date with new information, and the application to vocation and service. Thanks for tuning in. This episode of Crash Course was developed by Abby D'Alberto, Emily Cadman, Lauren Falds, and myself, Anna Hagen. A special thank you goes out to Charles Greer for his time and fascinating input.